And we're back. We're live. Hello, friends. Welcome. It's Bread and Circuses.
Bread and Circuses, dude.
We're here. Nick's been busy with school. I just went back to school, so we're both busy. I'm on online shit, but still.
I'm on spring break as of today.
Well, congratulations.
It's pretty good, actually. I was really surprised they were even going to give us a fucking spring break, considering that I'm pretty sure my school is trying their best to just shorten everything down like a month, compact it, so they don't have to pay their teachers as much, which wouldn't surprise me.
If there's one thing I support, it's teachers getting screwed out of money.
So I guess since we last started this, man, the Joe Biden, the whole Rescue America thing got signed, right?
Rescue America.
Yeah,
I love the name.
It's a pretty good name for a bill, man. Like Trump would have signed a bill, it would have been like fuck everybody. I'm sucking, like America's sucking my dick bill package.
Well, it's the Patriot Act was a great name for a bill too.
A very misleading name.
Yeah,
for sure. It's like, if you don't support this, then you're not a patriot.
And you're not a patriot.
You might as well be wearing a red coat, you fucking lobster back.
Well, I mean, so I think when you look at this bill, I mean, obviously the stimulus checks, but there's a lot of pork in there. There's a lot of money going to other countries and shit.
Well, I read, like, me and actually my older brother were doing this a couple days ago. It was actually unpacking and reading where all the money was going to for it. A lot of the money from that is actually going to, I mean, I didn't hear anything about it going to foreign countries, but I mean, it very easily could have. I mean,
there's always money going to foreign countries.
A lot, like, actually, I think the money allocation is going to like pretty good places. There was like one place that my older brother had read that where I was like, man, that's fucking stupid. And so, like, basically the money is going to like CDC for like vaccine distribution stuff. It's going to like a lot of it is basically just going for like vaccine distribution and like vaccine research and stuff. So, but there's some, like, they're giving some money to like the airline industries because they're sucking so bad, which, I mean, like a corporate bailouts, like, whatever, man.
There was
like
$40 billion to help cancel Pepe Le Pew.
Yeah, right. I don't think that was a government sponsored thing, which we need to talk. Well, we need to talk about that stuff too, because like, I keep reading about the people thinking like they've canceled Mr. Potato Head and stuff, and I'm like, not really. Like, but there's one place where I don't like where the money went to, right? They sent like 40 million or something to like public universities.
Oh god.
And they said 20 million of it is supposed to go towards like I think reimbursing, it's either like reimbursing medical students, like, or that for like their tuition, or it's supposed to go towards like directly benefiting the staff or something. And then but it left at 20 million for fucking college, like the universities, to do whatever they wanted with it,
because they don't have enough money, right?
Exactly, dude. I'm like, why the fuck do the public universities need $40 million bailout, dude? They're not fucking hurting for money. Like,
my favorite thing about public universities, or even private ones, is how they bend their students, they rake their students over the coals, right? You know, you graduate from these schools with $60,000-$70,000 in debt,
dude, and then even their staff with like parking fines and parking passes and stuff, like their staff gets bent over backwards with that shit too.
They charge you to park. You're talking hundreds for textbooks. Oh, but you get the textbook, but you also got to subscribe to the lab thing for the online portion of the class. That's another $70. Like, they rake their students over the coals, and then 3-4 years after they graduate or leave the school, they have the nerve to ask them for donations.
Yeah, dude,
like that's like sexually assaulting someone and then being like, hey, could you pick up the dinner tab? Like, like
that's like sexually assaulting somebody, and then like a couple hours later, like after you've left, like asking for nudes or something.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I've watched enough Law and Order SVU to know that does happen sometimes. So we're binging the shit out of that show right now. But
that's funny. And subject matter expert on sexual assaults. So I watch SCU. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like the one place where I was like, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Like the universities don't need like fucking tax money, dude. Like they already get
No.
plenty of money from everybody, unless the fucking Senate and Congress know some shit I don't. Which I mean, I
They
don't know.
probably don't.
Every university I've seen is like, it goes back to when the private business loans, like when there were all these private businesses taking out these huge loans that didn't fucking need them,
Like the Lakers.
yeah, the Lakers and fucking like these huge private mega churches and stuff. Like,
But I don't understand. Like, why would these businesses take out a loan? Were they planning on paying it off and then writing the interest off or something like that?
maybe or probably using it as free money to like invest in something.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Because
Yeah,
they're like,
was
oh,
just
well, we'll pay back interest, which I mean, it's a government loan, so the interest isn't going to be that bad.
no, it's like
But
5%. Yeah.
yeah, and they'll go and invest it in something, and like the returns they made from their investment will probably be worth way more than that. They just need the initial capital to do it. So it's like making the rich richer.
That's what we're all about here. We just
Hell yeah,
want to
dude.
keep the poors down and make the rich richer. That's the goal.
One of the allocations of the bailout plan, or the like COVID, like,
The rescue plan.
of this bill, yeah, is as they're actually going to use some of it to pay tuition off of like nurses and doctors, which I'm like, that's honestly, that might be something worth it for right now, considering like how much like the medical field has like kind of been shit on for the past year because of all the COVID stuff. Like, I don't know. It seems like a fair trade. It's like, yeah, they've been having to work way more than they normally have. And I mean, I know there's like a shortage of medical, like nurse, like RNs and like doctors and stuff. So it's like,
Right.
maybe, I mean, even the most hard pressed person that like is totally against public funds like being used to benefit like individual people.
Yeah.
I think they might be open to like agree that like, oh yeah, that might be a good use of some tax money, is like making it to where we can.
You know what they should have done is they should have just gave us all $1,400 in Bitcoin.
$1,400 in Bitcoin, so it's worth even more, and we can all sell it. Yeah,
dude, I'm looking at it right now. We're what day is today? Because this will probably come out tomorrow. Saturday, March 13th. It's 61,000. So like
sheesh,
dude,
that would actually benefit. That would benefit the government, because then everyone would sell it afterwards, and they basically crash the Bitcoin market. Like,
right. Well, what I'm saying here, and again, preface this: we're not financial advisors, not claiming to be. Over the last year, I just put money in Bitcoin and it just turns into more money. It just keeps happening. Like if I want to make more money, it literally, if I want to make more money, I just put money into Bitcoin and get more. Like that is what it has become, because it's like, yeah, whenever it hits a milestone, from what I've noticed, so whenever it hits a milestone, 40, 50, 60, it'll dip for about a week and a bunch of people sell and you get the freak out sales and then it goes back up. It has been
a couple years ago, it had dipped down for like a little while, and I think all the boomers had realized like, oh shoot, we probably shouldn't get our money in this. But yeah, now it's climbed back at 60,000, dude. That's like 3 times as much as it was in like the crazy
tax season
boom of it.
Tax season and stimulus checks are gonna hit this week. It's gonna fucking go nuts.
What is Dogecoin at? I know Dogecoin was like
Dogecoin. That was the one everyone was talking about.
It's last time I checked, it was worth like 5 cents, man. Like,
yeah,
I remember Dogecoin not even being worth like a tenth of a cent. And
it's like 6 cents now.
Dang, that's crazy, man.
I had a bunch of Dogecoin that I bought as a joke when it was like a 20th of a cent, and I just dumped it when it turned into a tenth, and I made like $100 off of it. But fuck, I should have kept it.
What's the one worth? Was it Atrium or whatever?
Ethereum.
Ethereum.
Oh, the one that I made money off of.
Yeah.
What was that called? No, Ethereum's still doing well.
Yeah.
I didn't make money on that one. It was I think it was IOTA was the name of it, or something like IOTA?
That. Yeah, Ethereum is worth like almost $2,000 per like. That one's worth a ton, dude.
Here's my thing with the crypto is like it's cool that that people are making money off of it, but like, what is it used for other than to just invest and then make money off of? Like, what can it like?
Buy drugs and guns off the internet.
Yeah, I mean that's the stigma with it, right? But like, there's some businesses that do accept Bitcoin and stuff, but like, what is it actually? What's the use for it? You know, and with Bitcoin and even Ethereum, I get that, but like these little currencies like Dogecoin and shit, it's literally just a pump and dump. Like
Yeah,
that. I don't, and I'm not anti crypto. I'm looking at it for what it is. You know, people, because you ask someone that's big into crypto, like, what can these be used for? They freak out and they get all pissed at you. And I'm like, I've never gotten an exact answer of like, what can these like minor cryptocurrencies actually be used for other than to just pump it up and sell it, which is fine. I'm all for making money, dude. But I've yet to have an answer as what it can be used for.
Eventually it'll be used to buy cosmetic items in video games exclusively. It'll be worth a lot of money because you can resell it, you know.
Have you heard about these token things?
Mm-mm.
It's it's like an NTC or something like. Let me look it up real quick. I should have known this before we came on.
Is it
here.
like another cryptocurrency or what is it?
No, it's different. So basically the gist of it is you sell like something exclusive. So like Lindsay Lohan sold like her video of her record like lyrics to some song, and she literally sold the ownership to this song to somebody for like 160 grand. I mean, obviously all that money went to buy crack, but still.
smaller places, like smaller things on YouTube will kind of do that. Like there'll be like amateur music producers that will sell these like really generalized like music beats that they generate, and they'll sell them to like either music producers or they'll sell them to like private like music like companies that use them on like commercials and stuff.
Yeah. Here it is. Lindsay Lohan NFT sells for 50 grand. That's what it says. Let's see here. It seems everyone these days wants to sell their own non-fungible token, NFT, even if their Ethereum-based NFT keeps referencing Bitcoin. I don't know what any of that means. But yeah, actress and musical artist Lindsay Lohan got in on the act today, minting her own token on Rarible, a marketplace for digital assets. It was bought by Loopify for 10 wrapped Ethereum, $17,360, only to be sold an hour later to one Mr. Lohan for 33 Ethereum, which is like 58 grand. Mr. Lohan
is that like a fake name or something?
Yeah. So she's got, I guess you just sell an NFT of yourself. But dude, this shit confuses me. We need to get like a Bitcoin expert on here to talk about it because it just hurts my head.
Yeah, for real. I know there's a lot of places that are like starting to accept it, but like I don't know, man. With the power of the internet, and I mean, you can kind of resell anything and use Bitcoin for it, you know.
Have you heard about that guy that like years and years ago when Bitcoin was like worthless, he bought a pizza for 50,000 Bitcoin because it was like the first pizza place to accept Bitcoin, and he thought it was so cool.
It's so funny, dude. I always tell Anna about it, how I remember being in high school, like 2010 and 11, just like how Bitcoin, it'd be like you could I'd see like screenshots of like the drug buying like wikis and stuff from the dark web, and it'd be like buy like a kilo of coke for 2.1245 like Bitcoin and stuff, and they'll like send it to you in a shoebox with some shoes or something.
That was
like
Silk Road.
Yeah, I don't remember if it was Silk Road or if it was like on a smaller website, but yeah, I mean that's all I remember that Bitcoin literally was used for was buying like drugs. I mean,
is there I had a friend that bought something for his girl off of not like drugs, but like off of one of those websites. It was like designer like it's like a super expensive like French brand or something like that, like Coach or something like that. And he got like a $3,000 bag for $100, and he bought it as hair extensions, and they shipped
must
him
have
the
been
hair
stolen.
I don't know, but he's like, yeah, it showed up and it's legit. And I'm like, okay.
The only reason that anything would ever be sold on like the dark web like that would be if it was like contraband, like, or if it was, you know, it's basically the black market. Like, it's probably stuff that somebody like hijacked a truck of it or something, and then it's like selling it.
Yeah, I used to work with this guy that he'd always have like these super nice watches, like brand name watches, and he'd sell them to you for like $50 out of the back of his car. And
Hell
I'm like,
yeah,
"Where'd you
dude.
get this?" He's like, "Fell off the back of a truck." And I'm like, "Okay."
That's so funny, dude. Like,
That's so like the dark web thing's another one that confuses me. Number one, I can't even I tried in high school to get on it just to see what it was, just morbid curiosity, and I couldn't figure it out.
you just have to download a internet browser that works for it. I know the only
Oh, it's
one I
like the
know
Onion
of.
or something. Tor.
Tornet, yeah, Tornet's the mainstream one, and everyone used to be like Tornet used to, like when I was in high school, it used to be what everyone would use, but now I guess the FBI monitors Tornet pretty well. So
Mm.
like there's other ones you can use. They just there's a reason why you've never heard of them. So
So what's on it? Is it like just like drugs and
basically, well, so basically what the dark web is like it's websites that don't show up under www
mm,
URLs. So you have to type in these crazy URLs to get onto them. And there's a reason, like the traditional ISPs like block these websites
yeah,
because they're illegal.
right.
So it's like it's like if you're like logging in through like a school computer's like network, and
Oh
you're
yeah.
like you see on like the fucking, what is it, like the like on the file explorer, it's got like a /s/4 1, like it's got a
Sure.
crazy, that's basically a URL. And like when you're going onto the dark web, you type in crazy URLs like that, and if you tried to type in those specific URLs on like Google Chrome, it would just appear as like it was blocked, so it wouldn't appear as a website on there. But
Mm.
if you specifically typed in those things into Tornet, you would be able to get onto them, because it's not you know it's an internet type browser that is set up to get onto those kind of blocked
So it's
servers.
like guns and drugs and like kitty porn and stuff, basically.
Yeah, I know that yeah, it's everything illegal. I mean, there's stuff on there too where it's not like, but back in the day before OnlyFans, like there'd be people that did OnlyFans type stuff on there. You could buy fucking hitmen on there. Like
I heard the hitmen were scams, though.
I that's what it's the legend of it,
Yeah.
maybe, I don't know. I've never talked to anybody that ordered a hitman off of it, but I know, like, there'd be like fucking Pakistani servers where like you could watch like snuff shows and stuff live. And
I've heard it like the red rooms. Yeah, like people
yeah,
like bid on how they want people to get tortured and shit.
yeah, which is like, it's morbid, but
That's some dark shit.
shit happens over in like Eastern Europe and stuff where like they don't have police that give a shit about that kind of stuff.
That's
So
where I've heard it's like Eastern Europe and like Asian countries and Middle
mhm.
Eastern, South American
Yeah,
places like
Pakistan, Tajikistan, like
yeah,
Turkmenistan, places like that.
yeah, and you can get Dr. Seuss books on there now.
Oh yeah, we got to talk
We got to
about
talk
that,
about
man.
that.
So from they didn't, like, what I understand, right, and from even what they've said, is that the company that makes the Dr. Seuss books, right,
hmm
they're not stopping printing off Dr. Seuss. They're not saying Dr. Seuss is like a evil guy. What they're saying is that they're not going to print the books anymore that have like racist caricatures in them.
But
The
those were the
the
best ones.
well, the only one that I know of that is like that is what I saw on Mulberry Street. Have you ever read that book by Dr.
Yeah,
Seuss?
I read all of them.
So that, how in that one there's like a racist caricature of a Chinese guy in it.
Yeah.
So, and which, I mean, instead of getting rid of that, right, they're just stopping to print that book. And I think it's like 4 books that
It
they're
was
not
like
making.
6. It was
Yeah,
6.
it's something like that. Like Dr. Seuss has a huge catalog of books, so they're just like, we're just not going to make those books anymore. Which
Yeah.
is like, I guess, the companies, my private companies.
Private company.
So,
Well, no, I mean it's their business. They can do whatever they
yeah.
want, but I do think it's more I think what people are more upset about is that it's more of a sign of the times that
Yeah.
you get
I mean,
canceled.
I never read anything where anybody was calling for them to do it. It's not like they received this huge backlash online or on Twitter or something, being like,
Yeah.
you need to get rid of these. But they just decided not to do it on their own. I mean, it's private companies, right? My private
Yeah.
companies, if they don't want to print off books that from, just because it's Dr. Seuss books that have like some racist shit. And I think it's kind of like how Disney like doesn't really try to show those racist ass like World War
Like the
II
Song of
like
the South and shit.
yeah, and they try not to show like the shit showing like the Japanese and stuff, that like the World War II propaganda that they used to make, like
Which is weird because Walt Disney was friends with Hitler. But I
yeah,
remember
I
one
know.
time
Well, he was pretty anti-Semitic, and it's
my
like
my grandma went to Disney World one time, and I remember she
mm,
was complaining about the prices of everything, like how it's so ridiculously expensive. And she's
mm.
like, "I'll tell you, if Walt Disney was still alive, he wouldn't have stood for any of this crap." And I was like, "If Walt Disney was still alive, they wouldn't let black people in the park." Like,
Literally, dude. I mean,
but
it's probably a good. What I think of is like it's probably a good thing that they're not. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like people have any problems now of like TV shows not having like the fucking like that cartoons in the 40s where they had like the
no,
big lipped like African tribe caricatures in them and stuff. It's
no,
just like,
I think it's one thing to evolve in new writing and new literature, but I
mm,
think that just removing these things that have already happened and pretending like they didn't doesn't do anybody any favors, because I feel like the reason we learn history is so we don't repeat it. And you get these kids
yeah.
that they've never seen these, right? So we're just going to not show them that there's these caricatures. I mean, you can do one thing. You can do one of two things. You can remove the books, or you can take the books and be like, look, this is a racist caricature of a Chinese guy. This isn't okay, and you can use it as a teaching example. I
I
don't feel
think
like anyone is
Disney.
going to read a Dr. Seuss book and all of a sudden start hating Asian people. You know what I mean?
Well, I think it's a matter of I think Disney does it right, right? Like they still have the shit people were saying like, oh, Disney got rid of like the movies like Dumbo and stuff, right? Like Disney didn't get rid of Dumbo and try to act like it doesn't exist, right? Like but what they do is they make it to where kids under the age of 7 can't watch it. So like
Really?
if yeah, so and not even like they can't watch it. It's just like Disney, like the Disney Plus app, right? The Disney Plus has it to where there's like the younger than 7 mode, so it shows
Mm.
all the like kids stuff and doesn't show PG-13 movies. And then you've got the other one. So if I'm a parent and I've got my kids set up to where like they can watch Disney Plus after school or something, I've got their mode set like that, right?
Hmm.
So I don't need to worry about my kids getting into and watching, like my 6-year-old child getting in and watching like fucking Avatar, James Cameron's Avatar with the blue boobies and stuff everywhere. Like,
My
you know what I
favorite
mean?
porn.
Because yeah, for real. Like little 6, 7-year-olds don't need to be watching that kind of stuff. And then once they're 7, once you're in like the older than 7 mode for it, it just says like, hey, be careful. This is going to have some like racist caricature shit in it.
Yeah.
And that's
And
it.
I think that's the appropriate way to handle it, because
Yeah.
like I was saying, like there's no one that's going to look at a Dr. Seuss book, see a caricature of a Chinese person and hate Chinese people because of it.
Mm-hmm.
But there is an opportunity to teach people about the fact that there were racist caricatures of Chinese people, of Jews, of black people in books. And while I agree that changing the writing currently, there's no place for it in today's literature and today's TV shows and cartoons, I don't feel like we do anyone any favors when we remove stuff from the past. The
I
side
think
that
so. I think so too.
the
I think I can agree with you on that. I
yeah.
think that like I think a kid has to be a certain age where they'll understand like that
Hmm.
certain things aren't right. Like I can't take a book to my daughter when she's 4 and be like, "Hey, you see this caricature of this Chinese like cuz the only one that
Look at
comes
this
to mind
China
is
man.
yeah, look, you see this Chinaman in here? That's not what Chinamen look like. No. That's dumb.
This is a
No.
Jap, okay?
No, like I couldn't
Now
do
we're
that
banned
with
from
it.
YouTube.
I couldn't do that to like a 3 or 4-year-old and like expect them to fully understand it. But you could do that to like an 8-year-old, a
You show,
9-year-old,
yeah. It all
and
depends
teach
on
them.
age. Yeah.
Yeah, you can teach them like, hey, like you see this. They used to do this stuff like back when you like your great grandma was like a
Yeah.
child. It's not right. We don't do it anymore.
Yeah. And I
But yeah,
think
yeah,
that
yeah.
you can show people, it's like, look, you see how it's in Dr. Seuss books, but it's not in the new books that come out now. It's because we've learned as a society, we've grown, but that doesn't mean that we have to remove everything. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
not everything has to be taken out of circulation.
I think and another thing too, that's like the 2 points, and then the Mr. Potato Head thing. The company is not canceling, like nobody's
No, they
canceling
made
Mr.
him
Potato Head.
non-binary, didn't they?
No, all they did was they just changed the name of it to just Potato Head, because even back in the day, man, the Potato Head thing, Mr. Potato Head came with female stuff.
Yeah.
Like even back in the day. So I'm like, if you're really so obsessed with calling it Mr. Potato Head, are you just saying that like if you dress it in the female stuff, it's like the drag Mr. Potato Head? Like that's more like against traditional values than just changing the name of it to Potato Head.
There's still Mrs. Potato Head though.
I think the company would sell the stuff all in the same thing. I had a Mr. Potato Head as a kid. All the shit came together.
They're just cheaping out. Like
Yeah.
that's all. They don't. That's
print
literally
ink.
all it is. They don't want to fucking spend anymore. Like it's now one thing. Everyone gets the same. Yeah. It sounds to me like they're just trying to save money.
Well, yeah, it's literally, and I mean, fair enough. And it's like literally, nobody's trying to cancel Mr. Potato Head, bro.
No.
Like,
what was the other one? Pepe Le Pew.
Yeah, Pepe Le Pew is the thing where I'm like, that's kind of dumb. What did they say? They're not putting Pepe Le Pew.
Yeah,
in
they
the
say he's problematic. Yeah, Space
Jam. Are they not
Jam.
putting him in the Space Jam movie?
Because he's a pervert. Well,
honestly, dude, the Looney Tunes characters, like most of them are all kind of fucked up, dude.
Yeah, they are.
The Disney is one thing, but like the Looney Tunes characters are like, woo, man.
Who was it? Was it Elmer Fudd that they took away his gun and gave him a scythe?
Or some shit.
I'm like, that's like way more terrifying than a gun. Like
all of Looney Tunes, I think, is just like something that is like a product of their times, man.
Oh yeah,
like
yeah, for sure.
Like look at like something like Speedy Gonzalez. Like Speedy Gonzalez doesn't even really like insult like Mexican anything.
No,
but still, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, dude, you just couldn't make that stuff now. And
yeah. Well,
I mean, even back in the day with Looney Tunes cartoons, like with the amount of like violence and slapstick humor, like even parents back in the day like had problems with like the Bugs Bunny cartoons and stuff. Because I mean, if you watch them, some of them are kind of fucked up, dude. They like shoot each other, like, blow each other up and stuff. Like they've always been something kind of raunchy and stuff.
Violence sells, though. Violence and sex sell. That's always what it's been. It's just on different levels. I mean, look at like Grand Theft Auto and shit. Call of Duty. Kids are playing that now.
Speaking of sex sells, they at least they made Lola not have like the big bunny.
Oh yeah, I saw you shared that Lola Bunny Big Chungus meme.
Yeah, that'd be cracking up, dude.
They took away the cartoon rabbit's tits. They won't let us have anything anymore.
I've been seeing so many memes where it's like shows like the Lola Bunny from the 90s and the ones from now going like, this is what they took from you. Like,
I think I shared one on our Facebook page. It was like they shut everything down and then they take away the medicine and it was a picture of Lola Bunny.
Yeah, Lola Bunny back in the 90s gave a lot of little girls their first like lesbian sexual awakening experience, dude. Like
fucking Lola Bunny. I can't believe it. They're like that. So the thing with Pepe Le Pew is like, if you watched it, like, yeah, he was a horn dog, but like he would get his ass kicked a lot. It was the same as Johnny Bravo. Like they
always portrayed Pepe Le Pew as like being a negative character for the way he acted. Like
he was never a hero.
They never portrayed him as being like cool because he was always like macking on this cat, dude. Like
right.
And even like, at the end, like a lot of the cartoons would end where like he would get dumped into a pile of like
acid and shit.
No, he would get dumped into like acid. That'd be fucking messed up.
No, he pops out, there's his skin falling off his face.
No, he would fall into like a perfume factory or something, so he would like smell good, right? Like,
oh yeah,
because the reason why the cat would always try to run away from him is because he smelled like a shit because he's a skunk.
Yeah.
So he would like smell good, and then the cat would like be reversed, and the cat would be trying to mac on him and stuff.
Yeah.
And he would like be like, oh no, and he'd be like, no, Sherry, no, and like run away from her and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, Yeah, they would always depict as like the unwanted sexual attention as being negative in that cartoon. So like that might be something that people like will criticize enough where they might go back on it or something. You know what I mean? Like sometimes people just kind of pull the trigger on stuff that they don't understand and they make mistakes, I guess.
Problematic.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Pepe Le Pew is a lot like Johnny Bravo, which I assume will be the next one they come for.
Yeah.
Johnny Bravo and Pepe Le Pew, both of them, they were presented as like over masculine, hyped up, horny bastards, and they would get their asses kicked because of their actions. Like it was
Yeah,
almost
Johnny
like
Bravo was always depicted as a big bumbling
a
jackass.
douchebag. Yeah, they never got the girl. It never once did Pepe Le Pew or Johnny Bravo send a message that, hey, if you act like a douchebag and you're all over women when they clearly don't want you, you'll get what you want. No, they made them look like idiots. Like they get beat up, they get arrested, all kinds of shit would happen to them.
And not only that,
the
but they
fact
always
that you have
had
these
they always-
holier. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
well, in Johnny Bravo, they always had like a side character that was like true to himself or something, like a guy that wasn't necessarily like a big beefy jock type guy, but like
Carl?
no, not even necessarily Carl, but like they would have like a guy that was like just a normal looking guy, but he would like act nice to like the girl character in that episode or something.
Yeah.
And he would get the girl, and
Yeah.
Johnny would just be sitting there in a trash can or something, going
Yeah,
like,
after they
damn.
beat him up.
And like, damn, on to the next one. Yeah, a lot of times too, they would have that guy kick Johnny Bravo's ass too. Like, or they'd have him get run over by like a bunch of football players or something.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, yeah.
Well, what was funny about all these people that are all gung ho about canceling Pepe Le Pew and Johnny Bravo is they never once stopped to look at the fact that they voted in a guy who's constantly on camera sniffing young girls' hair and being all over them and touching people inappropriately. And they're probably going to go out and buy Andrew Cuomo's fucking guinea ass book.
Yeah, right. Well, it's the Pepe Le Pew thing. They say I think that's kind of weird that they did. Maybe they did that just because he's got a French accent, man.
It's racist.
Yeah, they don't. The Frenchies complain too much about it. Like,
Frenchies.
We can't have you profiting off of our accent.
Was there an Italian Looney Tune character? I'm trying to figure out if I can be offended here.
I don't think so. Now you got to be offended that you don't have the representation.
Oh yeah, no, we were never stereotyped. All I have to be upset about is Chef Boyardee.
I think there was like minor characters that would be like spinning pizzas or something, and like talking like this or something. But
the Simpsons doubled down. You had the mobsters and the chef, so the Simpsons made up for it.
I'm trying to think of like the characters. There's like Yosemite Sam.
No, there was you touching my spaghetti.
Yeah, you touching my spaghetti. Yeah, I don't think there really was an Italian character.
Yosemite Sam was just like a cowboy. Like it wasn't really.
Yeah, he was like
really
a
big stereotype.
He's like, ooh.
Yeah, he was like your cowboy stereotype. Elmer Fudd was kind of making fun of retarded people.
Yeah, he's also kind of the boomer stereotype too.
Elmer Fudd, yeah.
Now he is.
Yeah, we quiet. I'm hunting wabbits. I love how the gun community has jacked the word Fudd and just describe like the people that are like, now look, buddy, I grew up around guns, but nobody needs one of them AR-47s.
I will say, I think if there's anything that has kind of been really like taking a hit to like a lot of the canceling stuff. I mean, not even canceling stuff, just like the way that people make cartoons for kids anymore. It's like all the cartoons that come out now are so sanitized and like boring that they're
terrible.
They can't ever take risks with cartoons and make stuff like, dude, you'll never see another cartoon like SpongeBob ever again, dude. Like SpongeBob you can watch as an adult and still enjoy it, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like it just kind of sucks. Like I don't think there's ever going to be any. Man, I sound like a boomer saying it, but it's like I don't think there's ever going to be any cartoons that come out for kids anymore
that are worth a shit.
Back on is,
yeah. I mean, we had SpongeBob. SpongeBob. If you go back and rewatch SpongeBob, there were some sexual innuendos in there.
There's a ton of sexual innuendos in them.
Ton of them.
You didn't understand as a kid, but
No, you didn't
like
get
as
it.
an adult,
Like I remember
the parents watching it with the kids did.
Yeah, like I remember watching it was like a YouTube compilation of sexual innuendos in SpongeBob, and there was one where he was like pretending the house was a pirate ship. He
Yeah.
takes 2 pieces of soap and he goes, "Look, Gary, 2 gold doubloons. Don't drop them." And I'm like, "Oh shit! I get
there's
it
like
now."
there's like a thing where a sea anemone is like reproducing asexually, and
Yeah.
like SpongeBob's watching it, and then like Gary comes in and he like changes the station real quick to like a football game, and he's like, "Oh, Gary."
Yes, I
Like you don't
forgot about
understand that as a
No,
kid.
I think I actually just now figured out what that scene meant because I always wondered. But
Yeah, it's like it's like he's watching little like fish porn, but like
yeah, they would throw that in there for the parents because they knew the parents watched it. I mean, Family Guy seems to have weathered the storm. I don't think they're too. Same with South Park. I can't believe South Park's still going.
Yes, I mean that's like South Park shtick is like, I
Yeah.
mean, more power to them. They've like, they're not never gonna go away because they don't pander to like that kind of stuff. I think Family Guy said that they're not gonna make like gay jokes anymore or something.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's a clear difference between like old freaking
Well, I mean, Family Guy said they're not going to make
cartoons.
Yeah, and which is fine because it shows that writing has evolved, but they're not pulling every episode where they made fun of a gay person. Like that's my whole
They
point.
show most of that. They show most of that stuff on like Adult Swim and stuff anymore. I don't even know what they show like as cartoons anymore. Like,
well, the point you had with South Park is it's you ever notice how hard the mainstream media tries to cancel Rogan? Like they're always these people
how
for
hard
as much as
HuffPost does.
for as much as they claim to hate Joe Rogan, they'll watch like an episode from like 7 years ago and like try to take like a 30-second just to find one 30-second clip they can blast around and like this is what's gonna do it. Dude, his audience doesn't care. And I think he's figured it out. You've got guys like Louis J. Gomez and the Legion of Skanks and Ari Shaffir, South Park. They figured it out that when you surround yourself or when you put yourself in a position to be canceled, you've surrounded yourself with the wrong people. Because it's cool to be part of the mob and this is problematic, that's toxic, blah blah blah. Let's cancel this, cancel that. But eventually the mob's gonna get bored and come for you. Because eventually, when they get rid of everything, it's just gonna keep shortening down the line, and eventually it's gonna lead up to you, and you're gonna get canceled because you slipped up at some point in your life, and then that's it. Now there's not as much money in it, but like, would you trade a couple $1 million for not constantly having to be worrying about being next? Because you got guys
I think the only situation where it's even appropriate to entertain like the idea of like changing content kind of like in this context that we're talking about literally is only for kids. It's like because Joe Rogan doesn't make stuff for kids. You know what I mean? Like if I caught like my 8-year-old nephew like listening to Joe Rogan, I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Turn that off. Like,
you wouldn't ask him for a joint?
Fuck no.
Like, listen, you're 8-year-old. Yeah. What if you walked in and your 8-year-old nephew was watching Alex Jones?
I would probably laugh like a little bit and be like, dude, what are you doing? Like, what do you even know who that is? And he'd probably be like, no. Like,
my brother sent me a video of him at some rally or something like that, and like they were like, how they have like the horseback police. Well, one of the horses had taken a shit on the street, and Alex Jones was screaming at it with a megaphone, calling it Beto O'Rourke. Dude, he's like, you listen here, Beto.
You talking about like stuff for kids, dude. You know what like makes me laugh? It's like this where you go to like, I remember going to the Henry Dorley Zoo, right? Me and Anna did, and we were watching them do the thing where like they take one of the elephants out and they're like cleaning the elephant's feet, and they're like showing like what their daily routine of like taking care of like the elephant and stuff, right? Like inspecting his teeth and stuff. And there was a male elephant, and dude, this male elephant's just standing there, and all of a sudden he starts getting this huge elephant hard on, dude. And like there's all these like there's like all these kids watching him do it and stuff, and I'm like, oh dude, his dick goes from like this big to like that big, dude, like in front of your eyes. And like I'm just sitting there watching, and I'm like, man, the parents here with their kids, because there was kids there, gotta
Yeah.
be like, dude, just pretend it's not there. Just
Yep.
pretend it's not there.
I mean, what do you do at that point? Like,
What do you do when you got
yeah.
like your 6-year-old, dude? He doesn't understand boners, you know
Yeah.
what I
Well,
mean?
like my girlfriend's chihuahua likes to mount her toys and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
dude.
And like her sister one time referred to it. She was like, "Yeah, why does she play with her toys like that?" It's like they don't know. Like
Yeah,
it's
they
like
don't know.
they don't.
Dude, I mean, I've had dogs since I was young. I remember seeing like the female dogs like get on and hump each other and
Yeah,
stuff. And like,
they get confused. The
you're just
dogs
like,
do. Yeah,
huh?
it's like how does that work? Well,
What's
that's
going on? Like,
we were watching an episode of Law and Order SVU, and they got Ice-T on there, and
hell yeah.
his son's gay in the show, and he's sitting there with his son, and his son's like, "Yeah, we're gonna have a kid," like, because they were gonna adopt one, and
Mhm.
just the look of confusion on Ice-T's face when he said that, like, wait, how does that work? Like, he's just like,
That's funny, dude.
it was like you could tell it was just genuine confusion, like, what the like, wait, how?
Doesn't Ice-T like actually have a gay son in real life or
No, that's
something?
Magic Johnson.
Yeah, well, Magic Johnson's son, I think, is like trans, right? So does Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade's got like a trans son too.
Yeah, but
That's like,
Dwayne Wade's trans son is like 8, so that's a little bit of an
I think he's,
issue.
I think he's 13 or
Is he?
whatever. I think he's 13. Yeah,
Mm, oh, he might be, but I think it's been going on since he was young.
probably. I
It's
mean,
like,
dude, with some kids, like I specifically can remember a couple people that like I went to elementary school with that like I later found out in life, like later on in high school, were like trans and stuff. I'm like, that's not surprising. I
that
remember
makes
how they
sense.
acted when when they were kids. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, like it's something like that where like even since 7, 8 years old, they've been acting like super feminine and stuff. You're like, okay, I'm not really surprised by that. You know what I
Well,
mean? Like,
I think the problem is you got a lot of these kids that like identify as a different gender at like 6, and it's like, no, your kid picked up a fucking doll. That doesn't mean he wants to be a girl. Like you
yeah,
get
for
these
real. Well,
hyper
I think
liberal
that's
families because you ever
yeah, that's
notice
more on the parents.
exactly, the only people with kids that are like 5 years old and transgender or non-binary or whatever are people that are just wing nuts, and it's like
Mhm.
you're that's child abuse. You're encouraging that. You're making them do that
Yeah,
clearly.
it's
Like,
not child abuse if your kid wants to play like have some Barbie dolls to play with
yeah.
his fun. I mean, like
But when
kids
you start
barely even
sticking
play
them in
with
a
like
dress because of it and giving them hormones, you should be taken out and
yeah.
shot. Like,
Well, kids barely even play with toys today as it is. Like from what I've seen from the kids around me, they're all on like
it's all
tablets
video
and stuff.
games. Yeah,
Yeah.
they got their Fortnite, and God, I sound like a boomer now.
Yeah, only from what I see from the kids that are actually around me is they don't really play with toys a whole lot. At least I don't see them do it. They certainly are like watching like YouTube and stuff a lot, which is, I
Just
mean, fine. I'm not gonna be one of those boomers that says like, oh, kids watching YouTube is worse than kids like watching fucking Cartoon Network and Nick Jr. and stuff all day.
yeah,
Like,
it depends what they're watching.
yeah,
There's some shit on you like Elsa Gate. You remember that?
yeah.
Where they took like the cartoon characters, and then some of it was like live action people dressed as cartoon. It was someone we used to work with. I won't name her name on here, but her daughter, she caught her watching stuff like that, and it slips through the
Damn.
cracks on the YouTube Kids, and YouTube Kids is just next video, next video, next video. But it'd be like Elsa would get like hammered and get in a car and drive drunk and then run over Spider-Man and kill him. It was just shit like that. And
I will say when I was a kid, right? I mean, remember the innuendo jokes that would be in SpongeBob that you
sure,
don't understand when you're 6. I mean, you would watch like, dude, you would watch like old like Looney Tunes reruns when I was a kid, and like they'd literally be calling each other retards, and you're just like, you know what I mean? Like you're like a 4 or 5-year-old, like, ha, he said retard, ha. Like, I don't know, man. Like I obviously I think you have to keep a watchful eye for stuff like that, but it's
sure.
like I don't think you're gonna fucking like ruin your child
No.
by them seeing something like that. I've remember being a young kid and they would show some pretty fucked up stuff on TV.
Yeah.
Like they would show, yeah, I mean, yeah, they show like sexual jokes all the time in
I
like old
mean,
cartoons. Like,
yeah, I don't feel like that. I think it's the same thing. Like I see video games. I don't think video games make people violent, but I think they can push people who are already violent off the edge. It's the same way with cartoons. Your kid sees racist stereotypes on a whole Looney Tunes cartoon of a Japanese person or a black person or a Jewish person or whatever. That's not going to make them racist. But when they live in a household with parents, or they're constantly exposed to like grandparents or aunt and uncle or whatever that are talking about racist things about black people, about Hispanics, whatever, that's what that cartoon can push them over the edge, I feel like. And it's again, it's on the parents.
I think I think that kind of stuff only if it's shown as being normalized.
Yeah,
because like, I mean, I grew up with a grandparent that was like that old brand of like 40s 50s racism that's like real ugly direct racism, you know what I mean? And like,
even as a little, me about that.
Yeah, even as a little kid, I always knew like that's not right, you know what I mean? Like that's not normal. People shouldn't be talking like that, especially around like 8-9-year-old kids. Like,
was it at all? Yeah,
like I do. When like Obama got elected, man,
I'm sure. I remember
rough.
I remember being in an Xbox Live chat when Obama got elected, like a year after or something like that. And of course, you get this racist kids on there that just throw the N-word around left and right. Just say shit. Everyone's gay and stuff like that. Well, this kid was on there. He was talking about how talking about how much he hated Obama, and he's like, Obama, blah, blah, blah. He's like, John McCain would have made it legal to kill black people. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have done that.
Back in the Wild West internet days. Dude.
Yeah, I'm like, well, unless those black people were in Africa and they had access to oil, then he would drone strike them. But so would Obama. So like,
which he did.
Yeah, exactly.
So. I remember like saying one of the things I think is the most hilarious thing ever is like when people are like always celebrating like Obama and Michelle Obama. I'm like, yeah, Michelle Obama is the first female black war criminal, dude. Like, it's great. It's so much good for representation. Dude. Like I just said, nothing puts you above criticism. So
that's right. I love the Trump supporters that like have the conspiracy that Michelle Obama's a man.
Oh my god, dude! I remember hearing about that. The first time I ever heard about that as a conspiracy was even before Trump was like running for president, dude. It was somebody telling me when I was in Africa, like the poi. There's like, yeah, dude. There's all these videos online talking about how Michelle Obama's a dude. I'm like, that's funny. Wouldn't that be some shit though? Like, I'm not entertaining the idea of it being true.
If Michelle Obama came out as a man,
if Michelle Obama really was like a trans woman, dude, wouldn't that be a fucking plot twist, man? Like,
it'd be better if it was Hillary though.
I don't know. I don't think Hillary's a
man.
Yeah.
Oh, I think Michelle Obama's way more attractive than Hillary Clinton. So,
well, I think also Hillary Clinton's like a fucking construct of like, like a bunch of people are like in a basement with like candles and stuff.
The deep state just summoned her. she seriously find someone who defines the fucking deep state more than Hillary Clinton.
Yeah,
fucking CIA asset. My God, like.
Her real name is Bahal. Dude, I've got pictures of me in 2008 dressed up as a serial killer Hillary Clinton for Halloween, dude. Like, that's 2008.
Yeah, I mean,
I got like the mask and I got like fake blood and put it all over the mouth of it, and I like
nobody
had, like,
ever liked Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Never. Did you hear we had so did you hear about our mayor here?
Kind of. Yes, I think
what happened?
So. It depends on what you're gonna say, like what happens next, because there's always shit coming out about her.
The husband was found dead in her backyard.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, the reporters and the police, they initially ruled it self-inflicted, no foul play. But if you pay attention, they've stopped referring to it as suicide. They've started referring to it as the shooting death of Dr. Stothert. So I'm kind of like, does our mayor have some Hillary in her?
I do.
Joe Stothert get Jeffrey Epstein? Like, what's going on here, man?
Imagine it was like some criminals or something just killing her husband because she didn't do something or something like that, man. That's like, that's not unheard of. I mean,
no, I mean, it could happen. But the weird thing is, it's like, I don't live far from her. And, this was like over a week and a half ago, and there's still cop cars posted up in her neighborhood. Like, if it was a suicide, why would you still need cop cars there?
I mean, why do they need cop cars there anyway? I mean, he already died. Like,
yeah, I'm like,
it seems like a gross misallocation of city resources.
So it's one of two things. Either he didn't kill himself, and they're still in fear that whoever this is still out there, or she had him off and she's trying to get out ahead of the conspiracy theorists, and she's got the cops posting out, and that's how she's doing it, making it look like she's in fear.
Really, that's the only two
possibilities. The only two. Those are the only two things it can be.
That's the
Nothing
only.
else.
That's like Alex. The only two things it can be. All right.
So what I've been I got to be straight. I've been very critical of Gene Stothert in the past and recently, especially.
Well, yeah,
with good reason.
With good reason.
But I've got to say, when I saw the Facebook report, because I saw it like an hour after it happened, I saw the article saying that there was a gunshot and someone was found dead in Gene Stothart's house. I looked at when it happened and I was like, please tell me I am on camera somewhere with an alibi that they cannot accuse me of this. And I was, so we're good. It was, I have an excuse. I was on camera. There's no way it could have been me. I'm just glad. But then they said it was something about a suicide, but it can only be one of two things. I have the documents.
I have. Look, it's just a coincidence. All right. I mean, it can't be just a coincidence. Then the police are still there.
Alex Jones, like, he reinvented arguing online. I mean, when somebody asks for a source and you just tell them you have the documents, there's no way to argue against that. Just I have the documents.
All right, we've been going for like 50 minutes there. I think we've
been doing it a while. I'm gonna go get some Chinese food.
That's good. I mean, I had Chinese food yesterday, so I think we did good. We had honestly, we talked about like two things, very pretty in depth.
Well, we went into cryptocurrency, dark web stuff,
the cartoons,
yeah. In depth look.
Don't kill me, Gene Stothert. I don't live in Omaha anymore.
Yeah, Gene.
Don't kill me.
Anyway, episode 100 coming up next. We'll figure out something special to do for it. So,
that'd be cool, man. Yeah,
yep.
Heck yeah. Deuces, everyone.
Peace out, everybody.